Now a Target 12 investigators exclusive, left behind. In 2021, standardized test scores showed only about 1 in 10 Rhode Island K-12 students in special education met or exceeded expectations in third grade English and math.
Despite that, a new Target 12 analysis of how school districts are planning to spend their American Rescue Plan Act dollars shows less than 2% is going to help these students. Target 12 investigator Tolly Taylor joins us now with the exclusive details.
One expert says the warning signs signaling trouble for students in special education have been there for years, and parents say the pandemic only made things worse. Michael Green says his son Silas spent the first 6 months of his life in a hospital because of a congenital heart defect.
He had his last open heart surgery, his fourth, in February of his last year of preschool.
Because of his surgeries, Green says Silas started at Norwood Elementary in Warwick during the pandemic, already behind, and says Silas has an individualized education plan, or IEP, because of his ADHD and health concerns.
And so it's really important for him to be in school and getting, his educational services on a regular basis.
Green says his son's special education teachers have been great, but to ask questions or make changes to the IEP, Green says those teachers don't have all the answers.
Once you start dealing with the administration, it just gets really difficult.
Green says the constant fights with the school administration for not following Silas's IEP have led to Silas falling even further behind.
He fights every day to try and make that up.
And 2021 RICAS scores, Rhode Island standardized tests for elementary and middle school, show Silas has company. That year, only 12% of third graders with an IEP met or exceeded expectations in English language arts. And that number was just 9% in math. And Warwick's numbers seem to be even worse than the statewide numbers. Warwick's own data shows in math, an abysmal 2% of students with IEPs met or exceeded expectations. Rhode Island Kids Count senior policy analyst Paige Clausius-Parks calls the numbers unacceptably low.
The RICAS numbers are devastating for our students with IEPs. Absolutely devastating.
Warwick Superintendent Lynn Dambrook says the district is focused on all students improving their RICAS scores and says it's a statewide issue. She says ARPA dollars allowed the district to hire additional social workers and building aides who will work in part with students in special education. A recent Rhode Island Kids Count analysis of how K-12 public school districts across the state are spending $330 million in ARPA funding shows districts are targeting just $5.4 million to specifically help students with IEPs. That's just 1.6% of the federal dollars, despite the fact that roughly 16% of all students in the state have an IEP.
It is not enough money. These kids are falling behind more and more.
Coming up at 6, another parent explains why the current special education system in the state sets students and families up to fail. With the Target 12 investigators, I'm Tolly Taylor, 12 News.